All right. That was kind of weird. I was like, wait, what's going on? Let me adjust the sound real quick. Hold on. Microphone on. Device properties. There we go. All right, should be a bit better there. So, as you guys know, oh, a little bit quieter. As you guys know, the headset was dying the last couple weeks, and I mentioned before that yeah, couldn't get one. Right, couldn't get one at all. It was completely back ordered everywhere. Logitech didn't have it, and finally got my Amazon package yesterday. So been spending the last 12 hours or whatever yesterday afternoon before sleep and everything, um, just adjusting, right? Adjusting like the headset, trying to get used to it because it is different. I went from Razer to Logitech. It's different. It's lighter. It's not as heavy. The sound dampening is not the same. But it's cool because there's like an equalizer. I'm not using the mic today because I'm still trying to tweak it, but it does have a mic, and it does, interestingly enough, have a in kind of equalizer for sound, which is kind of cool. I can it's there's all different types of crazy settings. So I'm still trying to figure them out. Thankfully, it uses the same program as this mic does, so at least I had the program already. It just kind of getting it worked out. It's a little bit different. At first, I was kind of like, this is weird. I'm like, I can hear myself talk. I don't know if I like that or not. But anyway, so day one, not bad. I wouldn't, like I said, I think it's an adjustment period, but it's not too bad so far. But yeah, I don't have the glitching issue anymore, where like the sound goes out and all of a sudden I hear loud sound coming out of the monitors and everything. So, Ernest, AirPods, no, I can't use AirPods actually. From jujitsu, I did get one of my ears, not jacked up. Like I don't have like crazy cauliflower ear, but I did have like a very minor one that kind of shrunk back. So if you look really close, I get a glance, you can't tell, but the ear's harder. So ear pods don't actually go in my ear; they won't hold, and it starts to hurt. So yeah, one of the quarrels of jujitsu. Just doesn't. It's not great for the body. It's great for everything else, but yeah, it just is like one of those, like the longer you do it, the more you're gonna be jacked up. All right, so finally got some movement. It was funny after chart school at the basically at the U.S. Open, we got a big move in a lot of different currencies, and then it kind of just flatlined and kind of again kind of seesawed back and forth yesterday. Looking at the 24-hour pip changes, again another day of pound strength. If you guys remember me kind of mentioning really kind of where I saw the pound, I mean I think that because of all the Brexit stuff, they were basically at rock bottom early in the year, and I always thought that their recovery would come back first. Again, the euro has its own issues. Many countries, exposure. What does it look like? What is demand going to look like? A lot more moving pieces there. So again, they were a little bit more insulated, but now they're more exposed. And the UK, again, everybody expected the worst. That's what tanked in the first place. So as recovery was going to happen, you would assume, just like small cap stocks, you would assume the UK would come back first. And that's what we're kind of seeing. Another day of pound strength in here. 106 on the pound dollar, 81 on pound yen, which is not as high as it could be. But then also seeing the the euro pound down 26 in the last hour. It's it's kind of it's retracing back. It's like 0.08, so it's eating that up a bit. But for the most part, I mean that was the driving force. I mean a lot of it yesterday was or in the last 24 hours has been dollar weakness. You can see the euro actually is up today. Yesterday for 2 days it was basically 6 pips. Now it's 60. So still well below your daily ATR, but at least it gave us some life. And then again, minus 25, minus 31 in the Swiss. And again, I believe that most of this happened yesterday. We had one pop and then it kind of stabilized. I believe that this had to do with the basically all the news releases about the United States withdrawing from the WHO. Somebody was saying that I guess we contribute 15% of the overall budget. It's like $440 million or something like that. Um, so I don't know. I mean, it's a lot of these global art organizations and things like that. I don't know. I'm just who knows. It seems like we're withdrawing from everything. Dollar CAD is probably I would say the standout of the day, being down down 90, showing CAD strength. Um, that's a decent move. That was a decent move. So hopefully some of you guys were able to catch that one. And again, most of that was, not in this morning. It was, yesterday. So going into today, we do have some interesting news. The German trade balance news was actually very good, better than expected. And again, that will also help give this pop in the euro. Again, the German trade balance always is a very big kind of identifier of manufacturing in Europe. They are the driving force. If all these, many countries have mentioned, oh, we could leave the euro. If Germany leaves, it's over. That's turning the lights off. Is they are the industrial powerhouse. So they're kind of the best, the best gauge on overall European numbers typically. So again, great trade balance for them. Today we have those Eurogroup meetings all day today, so there could be some news releases about how they're dealing with the recovery of COVID, what it's going to look like. Particularly now, I think the biggest thing that we need to focus on is a second wave coming? Is it not coming? What's going on with it? Obviously, in the United States, if you look at news media outlets, all they're talking about is we've surpassed this number, we've surpassed this number, but I don't think that that's truly a good gauge of what's happening. I know in Maryland, and again, every state is different. Some of the bigger states have obviously spiked, but, looking at, things like Maryland, I mean, here, I'll drag it up real quick. Here's Maryland data. We had a little bit of a spike here, at the end of June. Then we had July 4th numbers, and then we went all the way down a couple days later to 272, and we're back up to that 450. So we've been kind of maintaining, and we reopened kind of back in this area right here. So while there's big, increasing numbers in some areas, we really haven't had it. So, if you were to believe the news, everybody in the entire United States is spiking, and that's not really what the reality of it is. So, yeah. So it's kind of one of those things. I think most of the news releases now that we need to focus on is what is this kind of reinfection? What is the wave two looking like? What type of precautions are in? Like I said, I think the unemployment numbers today are probably going to, maybe not today spike, but there may be a slight bump in this. Next week will be the big telltale sign because obviously Florida shut down this week. So those new unemployment claims would not be in this number. They'll be slightly delayed. So we'll start seeing that. But I think it's something we need to start focusing on is will we start having this uptick in unemployment claims because people are shutting back down again? Yeah, we'll see. Also today, if you guys play it, the natural gas is later on this afternoon. This was one that we used to follow a lot more and then kind of got away from it. But it's still there, and it's another energy released. Like I said, natural gas is typically more of, I would say kind of like a fall type winter trade. People don't use natural gas as often in the spring. I mean, obviously, there's people that use it for their homes and things like that. But typically when it's not like oil where like the main driving force is gas, right? I mean, not many people are using gas heat anymore, but natural gas as far as a heat source is, very, very popular these days because electricity is expensive. So, oil is more of I'd say the summer player because again, people don't drive as much in the winter. Natural gas is more of a, end of the year kind of, cyclical type play. So, you can look at it. I probably won't, focus too much time until we get back to the fall time. All right, so that's what we have today. Again, going to tomorrow, we got a little bit more data, that CAD news tomorrow morning. We will do another broadcast tomorrow. Hopefully my voice, again, the boys have that lacrosse game tonight, our scrimmage. So hopefully my voice is, up to par, so we'll be good tomorrow morning. But again, I think we'll be on at 8 tomorrow morning to take advantage of any pre-news release data. And then again, today, about 20 minutes we have some. They keep saying we're spiking, but testing apparently has also increased nearly tenfold. Yeah, Will, that's it. I've seen two sides of the story. They're like, oh, we are spiking. It has nothing to do with testing. But if you look at the actual the infection rates based off percentage, it's the same percentage. So, yeah, I think a lot of it has to go back. And again, it's still the asymptomatic link is kind of the big unknown, I think, is where it really boils back down to. Because again, when you're looking at new hospitalizations, like one of the things, particularly with Maryland, I don't know if you saw it on that list. I can pull it back up. Particularly with Maryland. So you can see in the United States, right? You can see total cases. And this is what I find interesting is, you can see that we have 134,000 deaths in the United States, right? 3,300,000 confirmed. But if you add this number and this number, it doesn't equal this number. So I'm wondering, it's like, okay, so there's 2 million people that are currently, in this group, between these two. So technically, I mean, if it takes 14 days or 3 weeks, that means 2 million people are going to be recovered in the next 2 weeks. So, Even this means that half the people that have had COVID are still not recovered. I mean, again, 500,000 died, and then same thing in Maryland. We're not even recording or publishing the recorded numbers. So, technically, if we've had 3,000 deaths, that means that about 68,000, 67,000 people in Maryland have been confirmed to have it, right? But then they don't publish this data because that's not something that people care about. And again, the numbers just don't match, in my eyes. So you're saying that 2 million people have it right now in the United States, that only 900,000 have recovered. I mean, this has been high for a bit, right? This has been high. And again, even if it takes a month, this number in my eyes should be higher. I don't feel like this number. And again, this is just the cases that are confirmed that we know about. This doesn't even cover the asymptomatic cases out there, right? And again, they can contact trace back and find, oh, you had it too. But because those people I don't think are going into this number, they're not going into this number as well. They're not adding correctly here. So, like I said, go to news media. I would show you guys YouTube with, what kind of the blast is. But, my kid uses my account, so it's got all Fortnite stuff on it. But, so yeah, I think that's what needs to be focused on right now for news wise is, what does that look like? And again, I know that's the focus of the European Union, and the focus should be like that in the United States as well. Like, what will we continue? Because as you guys know, as you guys may not know, the PUA, basically the unemployment that the government was adding in as far as like the CARES Acts go, that extra $600, that runs out at the end of July. So there's only about 2 weeks left for that one. What's going to happen then? Is there going to be a lot of political upheaval? Is there going to be an extension to that? Will we start hearing, crazy stories from people about how, listen, I can't eat now. I'm going to lose my car. I'm going to lose my house because now I don't have that money there as the backstop anymore. Things are opening, sure, but things are also shutting back down. So, that's going to be the story at the end of July. We'll see. Recover is useless if you aren't locking down. Yeah. Lauren, I would agree. Yeah, I mean, it would be nice. I mean, I think, and again, the point was really, not to go on the COVID rant, but the point was really, the news is only focusing on the negative, and the negative is what actually moves the markets. So that's what we need to be focusing on. Keep your ear to the ground, listen for those things, particularly in the EU. And again, that's the whole point of these Eurogroup meetings. And I think it actually probably says it in here. Yeah, see, for the 19 members, Eurozones, yeah, they're talking about, the decisions and initiatives have a widespread effect on the Europeans' economic health. So a lot of this has to do with Bulgaria first steps to join the euro. Oh, why would you join the euro? I don't know why they're doing that. But again, it's what the responses are. And here's why. When you're talking about recovery, you're talking about low interest rates. Again, that's great for your stock markets. It's great for banks. Banks don't make as much money. There's easy lending. It should be pro-business. Unfortunately, pro-business is not always pro-consumer, So again, markets where they are right now, if we're going to continue to keep these rates super low, this really matters for a lot of different reasons. And again, it ripples into the currency markets, it ripples into the commodities markets, and obviously, eventually it will trickle down into the stock market as well. Again, one of the big things is what happens if they continue to have a travel ban? What will airline stocks look like? There's a big problem going on right now with Canada. As you guys know, my wife's Canadian. She's from Vancouver. Air Canada is not a state-sponsored company, right? They are just like our airlines, and they've had to close, routes down and things like that because people aren't traveling, right? Well, they're not getting backstopped by the government. So what would happen if that, Air Canada decides that, hey, listen, we just can't afford to stay open anymore? What would that do? There's not really a ton of Canadian airlines. They're not based like, they're not as, numerous as we have in the United States. How does that affect things? How does that affect travel? When provinces are closing down travel, if the European Union decides that, hey, listen, America is a problem, no travel. Okay, what does that do to their industry? If people from the United States are not traveling to Europe to spend money there, what does that do? What type of damage does that cause to the European economy? And where is the United States taking that money? Are we spending it locally because that could be good for our U.S. more U.S. based companies? Are they traveling to other countries that are allowing the United States residents to go there? Where's the money going? Because trust me, Americans love to spend. So things like that matter, So news, although it doesn't really change the end outcome, it does play on emotions. It does play on fear. It does play on greed. And that's really what moves the markets. So, yeah, honestly, right now, I don't think many people are traveling at all. But yeah, But again, when they block it down, there's no travel. There's none whatsoever. You don't have to worry about that. We still have people in our community talking about it's more profitable to stay home right now. Do you really, Will? Yeah, I mean, I live in Maryland, so I mean, I don't hear about that too much, but it is, it is a concern out there. I mean, I know Sean had a neighbor that, she's like, I work 60 hours a week and I make more money on unemployment. And again, that just shows that there's a problem with the system, in general. But and also remember, guys, we're halfway through July. We have 1 month till we get back to September and school starting. I don't know if you guys saw the article I posted that 1,300 of the confirmed cases or whatever came out of daycare, right? If they're starting to see spikes in daycare, what the heck do you think is going to happen in September if they try to push us back to school? And how many parents are tired of homeschooling that have filled out these surveys that said, send my kids back. I don't care anymore. What is a September, school time going to look like again? And again, if parents aren't working, productivity is low, earnings could be down. It could be interesting. Like I said, I think there could be big falls in the market. So again, that's why we got to keep our ear down and listen to these things. So, see right here, USD turning into the main loser as U.S. COVID infections weigh. Again, that's what they're talking about. But I mean, again, we have not increased in Maryland, but this is what you're hearing from the news. The death cross strikes the U.S. dollar as COVID cases grow. Another one from a different person. Jobless claims tell us 30 million people are unemployed. Okay. Yeah. All right. Sure. How many can go back and how fast can they go back is the big question. And then again, social distancing will have a particular impact on the economy. And again, that's in the UK. So I don't know. Social distancing, does it work? Does it not work? Masks, does it work? Does it not work? And it's interesting to hear that. I like the news right now. And again, we're going to jump into charts, but I love the news right now because you have one side of the aisle saying that, this administration has failed us and this is bad, right? Masks are a waste of time and everything we did was wrong. But then at the same time, they're like, masks aren't saving lives. Lockdown doesn't work. But then you look at the countries that had the least amount and they wear masks all the time. And there's no questions about it. And it's, it goes back to, do we want to give up our freedoms? I mean, think about it. If it has a 14-day life cycle and you quarantine and you don't have them for 14 days and you're good, what if everybody just quarantined for 14 days, didn't leave their houses? Again, people go crazy. But for 14 days, if there was no additional infection for 14 days, it's over. Virus is gone. End of story. And now we're 4 months down the road. So it's kind of like, could you give up 14 days of your life to stay at home, buy enough food, don't leave? You could. Sure. It would have made this a lot easier a long time ago. Anyway. All right, guys. So I left this on here from yesterday. This is kind of where we were. Again, this was the Tuesday presentation for Nadex, the yellow dot. So where we are right now, we had this level, and again, price had pushed away, and we got a bounce off of it yesterday. It pushed about 2/3 of the way down from that level. And again, remember, I said that the conservative entry would have been 70.02. The aggressive entry was 69.68. Again, in a slow-moving day, we sometimes have to look for the more aggressive entries. And again, this one moved, I don't know, about 20 pips back to the downside. So had you taken this one, we didn't hit profit target, which would have been the lower level. But when we do follow the rules and when we talk about where profit targets need to be, did it hit its profit target where it should have hit? Yeah. I mean, here you can see it on an hourly basis. Yeah, I mean, right here, here in this zone, actually, it's probably better on the hourly, but you see it right here? That's where your profit target should have been. So it technically did hit the profit target. Again, not a big mover. It came up and now it's been stabilizing around that aggressive area. As you can see, it did come up and it basically turned just a few pips before that 70.02 area. With all the dollar weakness today, over like the last 12 hours, 12, 24 hours, I would like to see, I could see some type of a retracement. That's why the other reason I'm leaving this white area on. And again, we want to mark off the bottom side of this one. Again, it made a push, pulled back, made a push, pulled back, and it used that same zone. As you can see, again, remember, this is kind of how the Harry Potter trade works, right? It uses those same zones. And again, it provided plenty of sellers here. And then what did it do? It provided buyers here and buyers here. Okay. And again, we made one push, higher, higher. And again, this is not necessarily lower, but we pulled back to that same zone again. Question is, do we make another attempt to mess with this 4-hour zone, or do we start to collapse and fail? The reason I'm talking about collapsing and failing is because, again, small risk. If you throw this zone on there, you can see that the opposing 1-to-3 risk to reward ratio trade is before an opposing zone. Not this one, unfortunately, but it is down here. So we may be able to get the collapse of this back through. And again, that collapse would come from basically the retracement of the bad news yesterday. Okay, so that's one potential thing that I have looking at. Again, not short the position right now. It is putting, again, we do have a confirmation to the downside, but the red, green, red. The green is not going above. News today, unemployment claims will affect us slightly. But again, if anything, I'd be looking for that 1030 reversal. If we can get through, and again, maybe news will punch us through, and we can pull back, and that will give us our entry inside of a Harry Potter short in this trade. Okay? And again, that level that we got to kind of keep an eye on is 69.67, but 70.02 was obviously the 4-hour zone that, again, we got this little spike up top. All right? Looking at Aussie Yen. So Aussie Yen, we had this level up here, and I don't know if you guys can see this or not. So remember we talked about the two different zones in this one? We can go back to an hourly. It's fine. It's whatever. Yesterday we were sitting 7-8 at 8 o'clock. We were right here. Okay. And I said we were good for one more hit for this zone. Depending on your broker, you may have gotten entry. You may not have gotten entry. But we pulled right up to the top of that zone. And then it pushed back down. And again, it's sitting on a zone right now. It was about a 20 pip drop on that one. It looks like it wants to continue to push lower. Again, the way that the wicks are forming in that one, they're descending, showing that seller stepped in, seller stepped in, seller stepped in, seller stepped in. So again, it is forming that kind of hairy, kind of, shark tooth type, grin that we like. But again, zone was fine. And again, this is why we take the little bit, more, conservative targets. And it hit, but I wouldn't say that there's been major movement from, yesterday to today. We were sitting right here yesterday, right at 8 o'clock. So, I mean, we're about 3 pips different, Went a little bit down, grabbed some orders, continued to go up, grabbed it, and then is, again, stabilized in that middle. So, that's another one of the shorts from yesterday. If you did get your entry, you're up about 16 on there. And like I said, at its peak, you're up about 21. So, it is positive, obviously, if you're there, move your stop loss to break even. Let that thing continue to move to the downside. Definitely don't take a loss on it, okay? Euro Yen. So Euro Yen, as you can see, we have the box up here. These were from the other. Again, these were a while back. I thought we took them off yesterday, but maybe we did not take them off. Those were from last week's setups. Bring those up. Speed that one up a bit. All right. As you can see right here, guys, we talked about this yesterday that we had more sideways movement than anything else. Okay, here was where the Nadex presentation occurred 2 days ago at noon. We mentioned that we had a 4-hour zone. Again, we hit the 4-hour zone. We pulled back down again. We hit it again. We pulled back down again. That 121.80 range. So that's where we were yesterday. Actually, right here is where we were yesterday. So again, spike up, pull back. It went to where it was supposed to go. We're kind of in the same area right now. If anything, right now, I'd say we're probably more consolidating. Again, we have another low. We've already bounced off of that low. We have a wick over wick right above us, although I'm not really going to pay attention to that one because it does kind of go into the 4-hour zone. So that's kind of what we're standing on right here. As you guys can see, we just literally bounced off that 4-hour zone. It hasn't completed all the way to the downside to the 120.72. I can remove this one now. Let's take some of these off. I'll leave that one there. So again, bearish bias is what I'm thinking today. Would not be entering off the wick over wick though. If anything, if you really wanted to get an entry and the unemployment claims number gives us some type of a pop or some type of a boost, I could be, depending on what it looks like, I could be looking to, get into a short position from there. If we get a spike for unemployment that sits there, turns, and again, what I would do is look for a spike up on the lower time frame, drop to a 30-minute, look for a push down, a pull back. There's your entry. Take that one short from here. And again, remember, this is based off news, right? That is if we get a news spike up into that level. And again, that's approximately 121.85. Yeah, 121.85 is the area that we're kind of looking for. 2 weeks is a little. A year and a half is not a little. No, Sean, it's not. We were locked down for 4 weeks in New Zealand and lesser restrictions for 2 weeks. Only cases is government quarantine for remaining citizens. Yeah. Learn, like I said, I mean, one of the best things about America is democracy. We've been able to vote. We're very big into capitalism. The worst thing about America is that same freedom that we feel that we have. Again, people don't want to be shackled down. They don't want to take that, make that sacrifice. We have obviously part of the population that, joins the armed services and they make sacrifices, but the general public can't. And it's all political. I mean, like I said, the same people that are, critiquing the president about, oh, he didn't do enough. It's like, well, we base it off the data, and the general public doesn't have the data that the guys on the inside have. And then Fauci was a hero, but then it's like, okay, social distance and wearing masks, stay at home, and it's like, okay, did that work, or are we still seeing cases? Could it be successful? Because supposedly we didn't listen, and then we listened, but at the same time, if it was mandated across the country that you will receive some type of criminal penalty if you were caught outside with no mask on, the country would have went nuts. It'd have been like, oh, Russia owns us. I mean, you just can't win. So at the end of the day, it's kind of like our freedoms are great, but at the same time, our freedoms are also our biggest weakness. The lack of wanting to make the effort or make the sacrifice. So again, that's what we got for Euro Yen. Now I didn't leave the house for like a month and a half, so I would have been totally fine with saying, hey, listen, guys, everybody this week, we're going to tell the supermarkets overstock. We plan to shut everything down, all business, including essential services, minus like food, food banks and stuff like that, will be shut down for 14 days. Here's a prep. We're going to do it here and give people a 2-week time frame to be able to do it. Give, I don't know, whatever it is you need to do. We could have done it. I really feel like we could have done it. Locked it down for 2 weeks and been good. Poor Ernest, this freezer would have been packed with meat for a 2-week time period. wood chips and meat. All right, so pound yen, guys, as you can see, we had a bit of an entry yesterday, and it did pull back from that zone. Again, this is one of those ones that were about 1.5 to 1. Again, it pushed it to the very, very brink. That would be definitely a telltale sign that, hey, listen, we hit it the first time. The second time it pushed and it went 1.5. You got to move that. You got to move that stop loss to break even. You can't mess around with that one. And again, remember, we've already had the one attempt, the profit target hit. So again, this was a second entry. It's weaker. Most likely, you guys would have got stopped out of break even. And you can see it just literally rode along that zone. Now it's pushed up. So it ended up banking and turning off the 4-hour zone. The 4-hour zone, this one was a little bit big. You're talking about 47 pips. I'm not into a 47 pip stop loss, especially in markets like this that are not necessarily the big movers. I mean, pound yen's moved 67 pips in the last 24 hours. Why the heck would I take a 47 pip stop loss? So you guys know that I was waiting for the 136.05. Fortunately, it hit and did kind of base and is now turning. So, we'll see if this is able to stabilize or kind of flip back to the downside. One way to use this is you could use this prior zone and look for a Harry Potter break out the bottom and do like kind of one of these. Again, we'll see if we're able to get there. I mean, we got to move about 30 pips. Unemployment is obviously going to affect this one a little bit, but that is one option that you could do with this one. But again, this one probably stopped out at break even. We've already hit it one time. So again, hitting it 2, 3, 4 times on a 1 hour, we're getting a little bit greedy on this one. Looking at the chart overall, if I didn't know this was the pound or the yen, I would have to say yes, it is reaching higher. I'd be looking for a failure to go higher. I know that we have zones above because obviously it's, they're painted there. I'd be looking for some type of a flip. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, we're not very, very high on the curve on the daily. We're kind of sitting right in the middle, right? But dropping it down and using lower level curves, you can see pretty clear zone that we went off of. This is pretty sharp, right? Straight up, 2 across, and then big hammer back down again. You gotta respect something like that. I'd like if the price in this zone was here, but it's not. It's kind of sitting in the middle. So just keep that in mind. But again, definitely bearish. Bearish thinking inside of this one right now on the pound yen. Pound dollar. So pound dollar is also at a zone. This one is not only hitting the 4-hour, but again, this one actually did make it up to the more conservative entry. The 4-hour kicked in at 126.54. That the conservative zone that we have marked off is 126.62, and that's what we banked off of. And it pulled it was down about 28 pips from that level. You guys can see it here on the 30-minute. It did pull back, but again, there's zone. There's a bunch of different zones in here. That one should be cleared there. It looks like there's a wick over wick below it as well. Kind of the same thinking. I mean, on a daily, right? We're a bit higher. We're not quite at a daily zone. We got a bit more to go. This one's got about 78 pips before we're at that daily zone. Do like that zone. I do like the way that the price pushed out of it. And we're kind of flirting with the top of it. So, ideally here, this is where we're at right now. Not a bad level. And again, with the kind of weakness we've had in the last 24 hours with the dollar, it's probably due for somewhat of a retrace. It's just, again, getting that confirmation to the downside, finding like a good level. And again, it's not quite there yet. We'll see. This is, again, it's pushing up again. This could be the failure to go higher entry. It's about 19 pips if you were to take it from this level. But it looks like right now, once it kind of pushed, we'll see. Like I said, we'll see in the next 30 minutes that the candle just started. If this is just probing, and again, trying to find those sellers. And if it starts to push down again, there's a big group of real estate right down here we're able to grab to the downside. Levels that I'd watch out for on this one, again, obviously, focus on this. If you're taking any shorts, make sure you're out before that area. We had an area of nice basing and then a pop. So again, there's going to have to be a profit target there. And this is a funky zone. You may be able to get down into probably this range before buyers step in again. So again, this is going to be more intraday type trading. Again, unemployment number. Let's see if it's out. Let's see what it looked like. Okay, not horrible today. So, again, we don't have the increase yet because, again, Florida just shut down. So we're not seeing the increase data yet. It came in below what they expected, which will be interesting because, again, that's how they kind of temper it. Next week, again, they're going to say, hey, listen, we overshot last week. We should probably trim a little bit off what our forecast is, even though people are closing. So, this is what we've had. They've been too optimistic. Now they're a little bit too pessimistic, and we have closing. So that means next week is going to be an interesting week for unemployment. Kind of excited about that one now. Oops, I'm not going to oil yet. All right. So again, overly, this is fine. That number is good. Again, that'll be good for the dollar. Eventually, these the sellers will kick in, and again, I can see this turning and bouncing. So I'd be bearish on the pound yen today, or pound dollar. Euro pound. So we talked about this yesterday. We were bearish. Euro pound. As you guys can see, here's where we are right now. We were sitting right here last night, or yesterday when we first started. And we said, you may or may not have been entered already. Again, we missed this one by one. This one got even closer. This one got even closer. So you may have gotten in on one of these two. And if you did, bam, there was your 1 to 3. There was your 1 to 5. What did it do? Came all the way down, I think right off the 4-hour zone down here where we'd mentioned before. 89.46 what had to be our target. Well, it came down about 4 pips below that. So if you had this one short yesterday, you are out. And like I said, a couple different entries in here. Here was the first. This is where we were at chart school at about 10 o'clock, which again, it's like beating a dead horse. 10 o'clock reversal at a 30-minute or an hourly zone. Not a bad entry. And again, you had another attempt here at 12. So multiple chances to get in. It dropped. Total, it was only about a 30-pip runner. But again, that's for your 1 to 3. If you held it to 1 to 5, it was about a 46-pip runner. And again, in a market where this one has only moved 37 pips in 24 hours, if you're grabbing 30, 40 out of it, you did quite well for the day. All right. Now where we are, like I said, I don't think this is an area where I'd be willing to take a bounce off of. I think I'm much more willing to take a bounce off this 88, 85 lower. As you can see, it's got some stuff it's got to chop through in here. Here's your 4-hour kind of area. This is a big area. It's definitely, we got some ascending wicks down here where buyers stepped in. They stepped in sooner, and then boom, rocket ship up. We're going to hit some, there's going to be some speed bumps in this area, right? And that's kind of right in the middle of where we are right now. That's why we're using the 89.46 as a target. Ideally on this one, again, it could chop around in this level now. It's got to deal with these buyers. It's got to deal with buyers that turn this around down here. You can see that the daily level kind of starts here. This is the last time right here where we had a test. Right here. Okay. Again, drop, sideways, nice pop, retest. Buyers stepped in immediately from that zone and then boom, boom, popped it away. So 88.85 is kind of an area that I'm looking for. Again, yesterday we talked about setting alerts. Setting alerts somewhere in this range, a little bit, 10, 15 pips above, maybe at 88.95. Nice place to set an alert. Don't know when it's going to hit. It could be Thursday. It could be Friday. It may even be into next week. But if you have the alert set, remember, again, this is just MT4. Use whatever software you have. Set an alert when price gets down to this area, right? Set for an ask price. It doesn't matter. I mean, this is all going to be bid on MT4, but you can set set the price down here and, again, have alerted, come back and, that's when we can place those trades. So, just keep that on your radar. So, but as of right now, again, I would say, you can see this one shot through. There you go. You can see actually there's a 30-minute zone right there. We were on the hourly right there. So I'd say I'm probably still bearish this position. I think we still have another day of probably pound strength. Only because, again, pound yen had a little bit more room to kind of pop to grab that really nice orders. Pound dollar, kind of same situation. Euro pound, kind of the same thing. So I think we have at least another day of strength. I would be very surprised if this is the turning point. All right, so again, there could be a short entry, but again, typically my rule is shorting into areas, even if they're bad areas of demand, not always the best. There's probably better opportunities out there. And I think if you want to play the pound, I think pound yen, pound dollar are better plays than the euro pound right now. Okay, so euro. So euro, we talked about this yesterday. We had a zone up here, and again, kind of an aggressive entry. We ended up getting entry. We moved about 1.5 to 1, came back up again, kind of pushed down again, hit a third time and went down again. There's no way you should be in this trade. Again, you would have been stopped anyway, but you should have definitely lost no money. Okay. Here you had a chance to get the break even. You would have got stopped out again. If you didn't do that, if you held it, again, here's another opportunity. Here's another opportunity, and we were profitable. Again, guys, 1, 2, 3. You know it's going to fail the next time it goes through. If you lost money on this trade, it's because you just walked away from it completely. You didn't have any money management guidelines. And remember, trader's market, right? Zones are good for 3 at the most. 1, 2, 3, boom, 4. Okay, so if you held this and just let this go, again, the market gave you every opportunity to get out of this trade with absolutely no loss. Again, you at 1.5 to 1, you should have had at least some type of protection in. But even if you didn't, again, I mean, 3 different times being profitable in this trade, right? Before it finally went against you. If the basing here didn't tell you anything, again, you need to go back and watch the course. Okay, so left it on there. Just wanted to make sure that we got that. We talked about that. Where we are now, again, I still like this big pop. I think you need to look, if any shorts you guys have, make sure you guys are out before 112.77. I think it's looking for zones. It's looking for more sellers to help propel this to the downside. We did get this burst here, and that burst came in at about 7 o'clock this morning, this little pop up. Again, if this is unable to push any higher and forming its red, green, and we get another red, that's going to be confirmation that this is going to be most likely bearish for the day. Again, that would make sense. We've seen a very, very big pop. Again, huge dollar weakness. Eurogroup meetings, any type of negative data that comes out of that one in the next couple hours, again, that will help propel this back to the downside. And again, unemployment data being good, dollar sellers are going to get involved with this one. And again, it could be a slow kind of gradual move, but again, continue to push this, back to the downside. All right, so I do like this one also in a bearish direction. Coincides with what we talked about with the Aussie dollar as well as the pound dollar, as far as the dollar retracing a bit and coming back into the markets. And partially too, and I'm saying that also because when you look at all the news, right, what do we hear? What's all the biggest news over here? Oh, dollar's turning because of COVID. Dollar's turning because of COVID. Well, everybody sees this, and what do they start doing? They start shorting the dollar, which tends to do what? It makes it get stronger, right? It tends to make it get stronger because the average Joe is now trying to get short the dollar. All right. All right, let's go across dollar CAD. So dollar CAD, big mover. Big mover. And what was our analysis yesterday? Okay, we talked about having this prior zone here. And what we were looking for is we were looking for a break and a retrace to that zone. Okay. We got the break. We got the pullback. We missed the entry. It went all the way down to target. It ended up bouncing right off the 135.04. Again, we talked about that being a target of where we were looking for those shorts. Again, an area where we needed to watch out for, and that's exactly what happened, right? There's the area that we said we need to watch out for, and that's exactly where price is right now. It's riding right along that zone. It always sucks when this happens, and again, this is why, it's always nice when we do get the entry, but it doesn't happen. The analysis was correct, and unfortunately, we were unable to get an entry into it. So I would say that this zone, it's probably not worth maintaining and keeping at this point. It could be worth it for kind of a pop out the top side. I don't know that I would take another short out of it. I'd have to see what the entry looks like. I'm going to leave it on the chart, though. And the reason why is when it comes back up again, if we don't get, or even if we do get some basing below, I want to see if this is coming up and then basing in here, that's going to be a telltale sign that we're going to, get a pop, a retrace, and then kind of this, but in the opposite direction. So I'm going to hold it because it was a prior zone. And again, it got front run, unfortunately. But this is going to be something probably much later over in here, or eventually when the price in dollar CAD comes back up into that 135, 136 range. So right now, again, we are sitting inside of an hourly demand zone. I wouldn't say there's any strong movement. There's really been no reaction right now whatsoever. It's basically flat, even to the unemployment claims number. With no news really for the rest of today. I mean, we have final wholesale inventories, which aren't going to be big movers. Natural gas, not a big deal. And then 30-year bond auction, probably not a big deal as well. There's no news until tomorrow morning. So, again, late in the week, we'll see where this one kind of bumps. I do like that we have a close proximity to a level down here, down at, 134. I think that could give us an interesting entry going into the weekend. If, again, we're Thursday right now, if we can kind of slowly grind through the rest of these buyers, peter down a little bit, and open in this zone on Sunday, that's a long for me. I'm all over that long. And again, dollars getting beat up, kind of pushes down again. It could be crappy CAD news, and that could be our spike. But a gap into this zone could be a nice little long going into next week. And again, if you can make your money Sunday night, it's the best way to do it. All right. So again, keep that on your radar right now. It's flattening. It's kind of out of gas. I think we're good until tomorrow morning. All right. Yen. So yen, we're here right now. Let me refresh the timer. We're here right now. We were sitting right. Where is it? Right here last night. So I told you guys I was bearish. I was hoping for a pullback. It just continued to fall. This is another one of those failure to go higher. We talked about this yesterday and talked about that setup. Here's a prime example. It made a push up, right? Push down, kind of came up. And this is where chart school was happening. And I think I actually mentioned this, that there's a smaller aggressive entry here if you really needed something. Again, it pushed down, it retested. You may or may not have gotten it there. But when it pushed down to here, you had to say, hey, listen, there's something here. And there would have been your entry. And again, it pushed all the way down. And that would have kicked in about 9 o'clock. So right after chart school, this was where the entry would have occurred. And all it did was go down for the day. And then again, as of 12 noon yesterday, we're at the same area. So it hasn't moved. I do think it will continue to push lower. I think it's going to go down and look for probably the hourly zone down here. This hourly zone, if it can be negative, it's only got to move 12 more pips. It can do that in 2 hours. That could be a potential 10 o'clock reversal for me. I do like the zone. It was based off of a gap. It has pushed it pretty low. So it's going to have to be like ideal for timing for me to be able to take this entry. But again, 107.10 is a reversal time. 10:30 is when I'd be looking for that kind of reversal. And again, in the overall markets, especially in here, again, because of the yen. All right. The Swiss. So Swiss yesterday, what was it? Right at 9 o'clock. Basically, when we ended yesterday, the U.S. came out with that whole we're going to withdraw from the WHO. Boom, it tanked down. By 9:30, the move was done. It was out, basically at 10 o'clock, and then we're still at that same area. We talked about having a trigger down here as well at 93.85. That's exactly where it moved to. It's in that same level right now. And again, on an hourly basis, we knew that we had some, things to watch out for there. At this point, I don't know that I would take this on long yet. I think I'd wait for it to come a bit lower. You guys can see that there's a 4-hour zone that starts down here at 93.47. It's about 40 pips from where we are right now, or about 30 pips, 35 pips from where we are right now. I think that's a better reversal area in my eyes. And again, you can see that's starting to get, again, low on the curve. But for right now, I'd have to say, I think we're bearish in this one today. I think we need to push down. We need to get back down into this level here where this 4-hour zone starts. And that's really kind of, I think, where we're going to get the most, bang for our buck. I still do have an area up here where I'm looking for shorts at 94.48. This was, again, another level sitting right above it. It's a little bit farther away right now, so we can we can take it off to clear the extra. Whoops, I don't want to delete all those. That one we can keep on. This one we can remove just to kind of keep it relevant and close. There we go. So those are the zones I'm looking for right now. Yeah, I'm still going to continue this one across. Hold on. Okay. So again, unless we decide to withdraw from something else today, I don't see any more movement in the Swiss today. I think we'll be rather flat. I think we need to drive down again, bearish down to 93.47. Then we can look for longs or reversals. So NQ. So NQ, again, remember we had this one zone. We did take a small bounce off of yesterday, the 110.67. We're looking for the same thing, guys. We're looking for that failure to go higher. This one ended up pushing away pretty big, right? And it was a little bit of a bounce, right? I mean, again, we hit it. We pushed down. We made it another attempt. We pushed down, but it didn't really go too far. So that typically is a telltale sign that, hey, listen, we need to be cautious. We didn't really get the entry either. So yesterday morning in this one, let's see. There's 7. We were sitting right here yesterday. And we talked about being kind of smack in the middle. We needed up or down. We ended up getting them down at 11 and then kind of all the way back up again. So, again, I wouldn't be looking for a top at this point. Kind of the same thing. We can move this across. If we start to get a pullback from that zone, look for that failure to go higher for a short. Not really any great entries on this one. Like I said, the best thing I have still is to the downside on this one. I don't necessarily love it. Like I said, there was a small time play in there, even on a lower time frame. We just don't have the, just don't have the entry. Again, we need that pullback. We need that kind of reversal. And again, you guys can see here's that reversal from yesterday, that push down, right, from here to here, and it got supported, right? It would have been right in there. So, nothing in the NQ today that I really love. Again, we gotta wait for a pullback. We gotta wait for a very clean top, and we're just not there yet. S&P, I don't think there's anything else. Yeah, S&P, again, same thing. This one didn't have the same result. Came down and grabbed it. We talked about 31.74, and we did take a bounce off that 31.74. As you guys can see, that's where we had marked off yesterday. We said if we can get a nice spike into there, we did. We got the spike, we got the pull down, and that moved. That's a pretty decent drop. Total, about what, 20 points to the downside. So again, plenty to grab inside of the futures market. That's how it should look. I would not probably use this zone as a shorting level. I think now my next shorts will come in probably up here, approximately in the 31.88 range. Again, this zone has been hit here. It got front run again here. It's pushing into it deep again. It wasn't the best zone. It didn't spend a lot of time here, even on the 30-minute. So again, I think we need to hold. I think we need to wait till 31.88 and then be looking at kind of take some shorts. This was a nice pop through, and again, if we can rally from now till 10:30, I wouldn't mind that as a 10:30 reversal up at 31.88. And again, match it off your charts. ECN data is slightly different. Use it off the bottom of this green candle right here. Come across on the 30-minute, and that should give you the exact. Remember, I'm trying to guesstimate because I'm a little bit high, so I have to drag the numbers a little bit lower here, but should be based off of that candle right here off the bottom. Okay. The Dow. So here's the Dow, guys. There's where we had our entry. As you can see, again, this one entered right in this level. It actually printed it. It went about. It missed the 1 to 3 by just a little bit, and it took multiple attempts. It hit one here. It hit one here, and again, I'll put it across. There's where the actual profit target was. Many attempts down, kind of failed, and again, push. You should have definitely been able to get at least a 2.5 to 1 out of this one. But again, valid entry. Yesterday we talked about 26.112. You can see again, regardless of if the number on yours was correct, the zone was formed from here, and we talked about it yesterday. Again, hit all the way, collapse back down. I don't know that I would use this level again, because again, we had one touch here, a front run, a touch here, and again, another kind of push up. So the next time it comes up again, we're into that 3, maybe 4 range. I do think we need to go a little bit higher on this one now. What I would do is probably move myself up into that area, and even there is kind of questionable because we have that wick over wick right above it. So, it's not as high. Obviously, this zone up here, the 26, 357, or 356 is ideal. If we can get across to here, I'd probably, and again, remember, I have to bring mine a little bit lower, but yours is going to be about 26,184. Again, if we can get a nice pop this morning, that could be an interesting reversal time. 10:30 or 11, this one has to go a little bit farther. So we need a big open. We need a big open. We need to push up, and again, that would be our reversal off of that zone. Looking something very similar to this. Okay, now gold. All right, so gold, as you guys can see, so we were waiting again for another short if price came down, and again, this white box, we were talking, hey, listen, maybe this is the top, maybe it's not. I don't know. Yesterday we were sitting. It's 30-minute. That's why 30-minute. We're sitting right here. Okay, and we said we'll see. Right, we got to find out. Is this the top? Is it not the top? Okay. Yeah, I mean, it looks like it was. Did it give us a great entry? Not really. I mean, even on the 15-minute. Oops. Those are the old ones. Let's see. There was a short there. I don't know that I would have drawn a zone that would have been a proper entry for it, but it did go off that same area. Unfortunately, it's not the way that this candle is formed up here. It's not really the cleanest. Yeah, even on the 5-minute, I don't really like the candle formation. I mean, obviously the indicator marked it off based off the algorithm, and that's it went off there. But I don't know that I would have traded that one. What time did that hit? Let me see. Yeah, that was a 4:30 a.m., so it wouldn't have mattered. I would definitely have not traded it either way. Yeah, I don't trade gold in the overnight. So yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I think we're gonna have some problems up there again. Don't know that I would use this one either. I'm gonna say cautiously bearish. I think 118.15 in that zone. There's probably some sellers left in there by the way that it reacted. Again, it got front run. It was unable to push all the way through the top. It pushed down. It formed a level that kind of met on the parameters left and right. Popped in again, pushed away. So there are going to be some sellers up at 118.15. I don't know if I'd be willing to take this though. Yeah, I think we need to wait. I think this one's going to take a bit more analysis. We're going to need to wait for this one to go top or bottom. 118.15, there I would probably get more bearish minded. 180, or I'm sorry, 1803 downside. I would probably be looking for longs out of there. I don't know. It's reaching. It's reaching. I'd be probably willing to take if we can get up to 118.15. Let me see something real quick. There's a knockout bracket in this one for Nadex at 1825. Unfortunately, 1825 is way up here. I was hoping there'd be something kind of a little bit smaller. We are running out of time for this one, but that may be something to kind of look for next week. See if we can get something that kind of matches up a little bit better. The 1825 is way too much risk. I'm not interested in taking that one. Let me see. What do we got here? Oh, not copper. Gold, daily. It's 1825 as well for call spread. So there's not too many even Nadex products for this one. Yeah, I would say right now, I'd sit on this one. I would just kind of take a break and kind of see how you, whoops. See if we can get something cleaner. These are not clean entries, and I don't want to force anything. But 118.53, I'm going to shift more bearish. 1803, again, depending on the time, what's happening, I'd be a little bit more bear or bullish minded on that one. Okay, so leave that there. Looking at silver. So silver, this one had kind of a funky. It did give us a little bit better of a top. It is a better kind of easy drawable, a little bit easier to draw. Again, remember this yesterday? We moved this and said this could be the top. Maybe that's the top. I don't know. And again, as you can see, it ended up not being the top. It ended up pushing higher. And I would say we're kind of the same idea here, but we'd have to use that candle. So there's actually not a whole lot. I'm just going to mark this whole area off. There's not a great top right now to be able to start looking for areas of getting short. Okay, it's going to be up over there somewhere. Like there's a zone sitting right there on a daily. Looks like 1925 is going to be what I'm looking for in this one. 1925 is a daily zone here, so that could be an interesting reversal area. Let me see, does that coincide with how much movement we got? Yeah, that'll make sense. All right, so we got a little bit more of a rally in this one to go. Oh, not gold, silver. 1925. Put something on your radar. Set an alert for yourself in that range. A little bit above, a little bit below, like 1915. Keep an eye out for that one. That gives you about 10 cents worth of movement for it to come back in. I think that's a great level where we could start shorting it. Again, that's using the higher level time frames up in the daily range, which I think will give us a little bit more direction. But that could be an interesting little bounce off of that. And that's it. I mean, really, on the 30-minute, there's just not a whole lot in silver right now. Okay. CAD yen, obviously, we had a bit of movement. As you guys can see on this one, again, full completion of that target before. There's your 8. Let's go back. Yesterday, we were sitting right here. Right here. As you can see, nice little pop in CAD yesterday. It missed entry just by a little tiny bit. It came all the way back up again, and again, the indicator painted a new zone based off of the left and right of this kind of turn off this zone. Again, this is the aggressive entry. The conservative was at 79.61. It just missed it. I do think that this will remain bearish today. I do see, again, based off what we saw in the dollar CAD and the CAD yen, this makes a lot of sense that this will continue to kind of retrace. Dollar CAD's down 85, so it was a lot of strength, right? Typically, when we have this much strength, we tend to see a retracement. Well, it needs to find a zone. It just kind of got front run on a zone. It is starting to push back to the downside. And again, dollar CAD is probably, dollar CAD is stabilizing first, but we're seeing that the CAD weakness over the last 3 hours has already started to kick in, and yen strength has come back. So, for those of you in the the spot world, I would definitely be more bearish in the CAD yen than anything else. If we can get a pullback, maybe worth it. If we can break below these levels in here, again, you can grab, there's about 25, 30 pips to grab to the downside if we break through this level here, okay? Last but not least, let's go over and look at oil. Okay, here is oil. I switched it over into the actual trading view chart because that saves the draws. And I remember I had to restart. This is the draw that we had yesterday before I restarted. You guys remember this, where I drug these things out so we could see them. Here's where it is currently right now. So again, there's the 4104. There's the 4105 on this one. So again, we got a nice push down back into the 4060 range. About a 40-cent mover. Again, I mentioned yesterday, if we could get a pop into that zone, ideally we wanted to grind into this before the news, but it ended up having a, we needed the news that ended up popping us into there. And again, pretty clean, guys. I mean, 4105 is the level that we looked at. I think it came up to a high of 4107. So again, you should have had no excuses for not entering this one, pushing to the downside. And also, I just want to point out as well, ideally, we always want to have 1 to 3. But the way that level formed, we had to have been thinking that, this level right here would have been the profit target, right? Because that's where the spike occurred. Coincidentally, what did it do? It hit the spike, and the same buyers that made this spike also stepped in here. Unfortunately, that would have only given us basically a 2 to 1, a 1.9, but I'll leave this down here at 3 because that's ideally where we want it to move to. But again, you had to have looked at this and said, hey, wait a second. Buyer stepped in, very clean break. There's your target, there's your pop, and that's exactly, I mean, it literally hit it to the, couple pennies past where your profit target should have been on this one. So right now with oil, I'd say, probably bearish as well. It hit that zone. Those sellers stepped in, as we saw previously in the past, pushed it lower, and again, it hasn't really gotten much of an opportunity to go much higher, right? I mean, we retraced back down, and it made an attempt, and this attempt, while it did kind of take some of this area out, it's got some basing in here, and again, your stop loss would definitely be a break even. This would be a free trade, guys. There's no, we were all the way down here at 2 to 1. You should not be losing. Why risk 2 profit and 1 here to make this? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So hopefully some of you guys were able to take advantage of it. James, I know you did. You had also had this level as well. And again, I just used the 30-minute and the hourly on oil to be able to go ahead and draw this one. But yeah, again, I mean, here was the other pop-out view. I just figured go to trade view so it saves the drawings. I'm tired of redrawing this one. Tired of redrawing it. But here was the screenshot before I restarted the PC last night and lost that pop-out window. Okay, I saved it. Ray, you're always missing the pound, man. Wow, 2-week notice. Can you imagine the hoarding? Yeah, the hoarding was crazy. Up on the NQ these days. Yeah, NQ's moving, and again, it makes sense. I mean, in all honesty, I mean, again, it's kind of going back to it, but is there any question why the NQ would move? I mean, the NQ is associated with what? Technology. Okay, obviously we've embraced technology more now than we ever have with homeschooling, remote working, and again, shutting things down, people are going to rely on technology more. So it makes sense that technology is moving. Given the environment that we're in with, interest rates basically at zero, if companies want to expand and increase their infrastructure, things like Zoom, of course, I mean, they're going to do well, you know? I mean, that's why it's funny. Like, people are like, oh, I picked this in January that this tech company would do well. Well, no kidding. I mean, it didn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out, that a company like Zoom or anybody that has the ability to do remote learning or assists in remote working would do well. And how could it do bad? Right? I mean, coronavirus wouldn't have made a remote working company bad, right? It's not like, oh, you know what? We'll never use remote working. No, I mean, they were already at a pre-COVID levels is what they were able to do without a crisis. Throw a crisis in, there's only one direction it can go in, up. So again, everybody that's like, I picked this back in January. Well, yeah, of course you did, because you have common sense. So, yep, I'm always late, but gonna watch the recording. All right, that's good, Ray. Thanks for all the information. No problem, Ray. And Ray, basically, I'll summarize the pound for you real quick. You can watch it. The pound is at levels, obviously, in the last 24 hours. Again, the pound has had more strength. I see a little bit more strength kind of being maintained, although at this point it did start to, I mentioned needing a little bit more of an oomph, but, again, this one needs a little bit more to go before it hits a good level up here. And again, we're approaching 4-hour zones, and that's pound yen. Pound dollar, again, we're already starting to hit those zones, right now. Euro pound is my least favorite of the three. It does need to go a little bit farther. Again, it's still a little bit more pound strength before we hit that weakness, but I do think at least some pullback is coming inside of the pound, both on the pound yen, pound dollar, as well as euro pound. Okay, so again, I do think these will be a little bit more, kind of retracey, right? A little bit kind of pulling back. All right. All right, guys. So with that said, let's go ahead and let's do the giveaway for today. Ernest won yesterday, so make sure you guys spend some pip chips to, prohibit him from winning 2 in a row. He'll never let you guys live it down. I'll give you guys I'll go to 1:15:30. I'll give you guys just over a minute to be able to get in for these. For those of you that are new in the channel, all you have to do is do !ticket. It doesn't matter if you just logged in. Everybody gets one free ticket, and what it does is it gets you what's called pip chips. They're just the channel's currency. You see other people, they come up with fancy names for them. What it does is that when you accumulate enough, you have the ability to purchase indicators from me. You can do mentoring sessions. I'll do a one-on-one mentoring session. We can break down your strategy, market psychology, trading plans, the way that I trade, candlestick analysis. We can look at some different positions together and talk about how to manage them. We can really do whatever you want. They're set up for with pip chips. They're set up for 30 minutes. Although I tend to do I end up going long. We end up doing hours most of the time. Can't guarantee that, but for the most part, I always tend to kind of do at least 45 minutes. We end up talking about something and going extra, which I love talking shop. So everybody can get in. All right, so I'll give you guys another 10 seconds and we will get in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bam. All right. I am one-on-one mentoring. Give me the pip chips. Yeah. Yep. And actually, Ray, I love doing the mentoring aspect of it. I love, breaking things down. I love that personal connection. I'm not one of those educators that like a lot of educators are just like, buy my course. I try to give you guys as much help as I possibly can. So, I mean, it's a way that, again, I can't help everybody, but the people that I can help, I love. That's why I end up spending the extra time, helping people get past things. I mean, I've been doing it long enough. Like I said, I love giving back. I love hearing success stories. I'm not one of those guys. I don't post pictures of, huge trade wins. I don't post pictures of cars and watches, and that's not it for me. I am more about my students than I am anything else. And you can ask my students. I'm all about their successes and their victories and doing everything I can to help them succeed. So yeah, I love the mentoring aspect. I wish more people would use their pip chips for it. All right, anyway, let's go ahead and draw it. I'm shocked, absolutely shocked and appalled that Ernest didn't try to cherry pick 10 tickets at the end to get that double. Cannot believe that he didn't do it. But anyway, here we go. Winner of today's drawing is... Ooh. Look at that. Wow. Just think if she would have won yesterday. because she won 2 days ago. Ernest took it yesterday, and then bam, she steps back in again. All I got to say is I'm buying her course. When she comes out with the course of how to win, giveaways, I'm buying it. I'm telling you, she is a monster. She's killing it. I'm just insane. Those are done. Oh, I wanted to go to leaderboard. But look at this. Look. So this was a few seconds ago. Bam, she wins there. Or here, this is Ernest, right? And then the day before, bam, there she is. She is a monster. I'm telling you, it's insane. She gets her 25. Look at that. She is just steady. She is just creeping. Look at this. Crazy. Man. These women, they have come to take the chips. I'm telling you, man. She is just, yeah. I'll buy her course to win pip chips to get in on that one-on-one mentoring. Rating is pretty easy. Like I said, where the heck is it? Where's the store? Dashboard. You can go to, where is it? Stream store. This is what it looks like. So right now I have some indicators here, and then again 30-minute mentoring, only 500 chips. And it's not hard. You guys accumulate chips all the time. Whenever you're watching the channel, you accumulate chips. I don't know if it works for replays, but I know if you're watching the channel live, you accumulate every 10 minutes. You're getting some pip chips. So, it's not like a 1 or 2 day thing. You do tend to have to be a regular. But ask the guys. It's not that hard. I mean, if you get one win, it's, one win is 25 pip chips in addition. So you end up getting like almost 50 pip chips probably for one session if you win. If you win a second time, you get an additional 100 pip chips. And if you win 3 in a row, you get 500 pip chips, which is basically winning a mentor session. So yeah, there's plenty of stuff in there. So we have a good time. All right, guys, with that said, I'm out of here. I'm going to go get some, I'm going to refill my coffee. You guys know how I love my coffee. I'm going to continue to play with my headset. Like I said, I'm still adjusting to it, but I love the sound quality of it so far. I'm having a good time with it. And catch you guys tomorrow at 8 a.m. Like I said, 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, we'll be back on. Ray, 8 a.m. tomorrow. Don't be late. Girls World Domination. Right, Debbie? All right, guys, you take care. Have a good trading day. I'll catch you tomorrow.